Today, we turn our focus on the 2013 audit report in Nigeria's extractive industry, with the Nigeria's Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, NEITI, accusing the NNPC of non-remittance of $3.8 billion, which is broken down into $1.7 billion for 8 oil mining leases due from NPDC, divested to it from NNPC, $1.29 billion from NLG dividends, another tranche of 354 billion naira unpaid domestic crude debt by NNPC, and also 3.98 billion naira from subsidy over recovery in 2012 and $2.17 billion from cash call funds, which you can see here right now. Though the NNPC claims that some of its expenditure were not captured in the report, but these high-stake reports can't be swept under the carpet, as the public is left with many unanswered questions. It's question time. Welcome to the program. I'm Benga Ashiru. You can also join in this conversation by sending us your comments on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. One of the sectors targeted by the Nigerian government as a potential revenue earner is the mining sector, with reported cases of smuggling and operations of illegal miners. What's the NEITI score sheet on Nigeria's mining sector? Let's join the Executive Secretary of Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, Waziri Adio, on this interview. Mr. Waziri Adio, the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, welcome on the question.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine.
Could we have an overview of Nigeria's extractive industries based on compliance to the NEITI guidelines?
As you know, Nigeria signed up to NEITI in 2004, meaning we have implemented this initiative for the past 12 years, and we have done quite a lot. We have published 6 oil and gas audit reports. We have published 4 solid minerals audit reports. We have published 1 fiscal allocation and statutory disbursement audit report. And we are also seen as one of the leading NEITI implementing countries in the world. But we also need to step back to say, yes, are we just content with ticking boxes about just publishing auditing reports? Or are we really interested in what the end goal should be? The end goal should be that the resources will serve the interests of Nigerians better than they have in the past. So, because if you look at why was the initiative put in place? The initiative was put in place because of this concept of resource cost, that countries that have abundant natural resources perform woefully and below other countries that do not have similar resource endowments in terms of development indicators, whichever way you look at it. So the initiative was put in place to ensure that these resources are better managed. They are managed in such a way that they will not lead to corruption, they will not lead to conflict, they will not lead to dismal development indicators for people.
In spite of the huge natural reserve and the potential for mineral resources, Nigeria's economy is still far below expectation. Why is this so?
So the one way to look at it is this. It has to be a work in progress. Based on the work that we have done, now citizens and civic groups have information that they can use to hold government to account. And also, based on the work that we have done, there are some systemic and governance issues that we have identified that have also made impact in the way the resources are governed and in the reforms being introduced by different administrations over time. So we'll get there, but we also need to begin to interrogate some of the assumptions behind the work that we do. Our work is to promote transparency and accountability, and the assumption is that once you do that, then we'll have good governance and we'll have shared prosperity. We need to step back to say, wait a minute, is there an automatic link between having transparency and accountability and good governance? What is clear to us is that there's a lot of work that we need to do as an agency, but much more, there's a lot of work that we need to do as a country. Citizens need to pick up the information that we're putting out and use this information to demand for better governance, for good governance, for democracy dividends from government. Civic groups also need to do that. Media also needs to do that. Government also needs to identify some of these issues that we have raised. What are the things we need to fix to make sure that at the end of the day, Nigerians will be able to benefit from these resources.
Now, coming back to your statutory mandate of opening books of companies within the extractive industry, that seems a very tall mandate. What is the level of adherence, cooperation from these companies, and also what kind of political support would you say you enjoy strong government backing in following up with your mandates?
Well, I don't think it's as difficult as you are making it to be. Let's bear in mind that we have a law. We have the NEITI Act 2007 that mandates us to perform this role. And over time, too, we have also received more cooperation from the government agencies and from the companies. So this is what we do. We go to the companies and ask them, what have you paid government for this particular year for different reasons? And they will tell us. Then we'll go to the government agencies and say, what have you received from these companies for this particular year for different purposes? And they will tell us. And we'll reconcile the two. So we do not have problems with getting information from companies or from government agencies. There are some areas where we have some challenges. And one clear area is that over time, we have come up with recommendations that we think should be implemented, but some of them have not been implemented for one reason or the other. Then we also need to look at the administration in place at a period in time. If at a period in time, at a particular point in time, the administration is not really interested in reform, there's a limit to how much we can do. So what we can do is we can do our reports, we can disseminate it to the public, but what happens next in terms of implementing the recommendations, in terms of prosecuting those who should be prosecuted, in terms of putting systems and structures in place, they are clearly beyond us. But if you also have an administration that is interested in doing those things, then our job will be easier. For example, this present administration was elected on the promise of three things. One, to fix the economy and generate jobs. The other one, to curb corruption. And the other one, to fix the economy, to fight corruption, and to tackle insecurity.
After making recommendations from your reports, who does the follow-up in terms of implementation?
One of the things that we have tried to do now is to look at, like I told you at the beginning, we have done a series of audit reports. And when you read these reports, you find out that we come up with the same issues, we come up with the same recommendations all the time. So what we're trying to do now is to step back and say, okay, if we need to get these recommendations implemented, if we need certain things to be fixed, who do we need to engage with? So because of that, we have changed our strategy a little bit, and that is to reach out more. One of the stakeholders that we've reached out to is the National Assembly, because they also have the power to make laws for the country. They have the power to do oversight on the executive. They also have the responsibility to represent the people. So as you know, we engage with the House of Reps, we engage with the Senate, and the Senate asked us to come and brief them about our report, and they've set up a committee to probe, because we are not investigators, we are not prosecutors. Our own is to do reconciliation and share the information. So one entity that could help us in readdressing some of these issues will be the legislature, because of the powers that they wield. The second is that there are some agencies that have powers to prosecute, which we don't have. And that's why we have also engaged with EFCC to say some of these infractions are criminal in nature. Some of them are, they are economic and financial crimes. And because they have the powers and the resources and the expertise to investigate and prosecute, so we are partnering with them. We met with the acting chairman of EFCC and his team, and they promised that they were going to set up a joint tax team to look into some of those infractions. So we want to see how we can get more traction by partnering with those who have the powers that we don't have, and who might not have the kind of expertise that we have in doing the kind of work that we do. We also engage with the Auditor General of the Federation. We met with the acting Auditor General and our team, and we also presented to them, and we're going to. So we want to take our work to another level. Rather than just do the reports and expect that people will do things, we want to reach out.
You may also join in this conversation by sending your comments on our various social media platforms showing on your screen. Coming up on Question Time. Who is responsible for the reported illegal export of solid minerals out of the country? Find out from the Executive Secretary, Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, Waziri Adio, when we return.